I hear when you talk to plants, they listen and they respond. They don't respond to me. I don't know if my voice is too high pitched. Like there was this one, marigold, because it also kills mosquito. I'm big on plants that kill mosquitoes, so or repel insects. So marigolds, and they're beautiful when they bloom. So I really want it to work. So I talked to her. I'm constantly telling, you're so beautiful. Please come alive again, because it kind of started withering. I go on and on. I read poems. I play music right next to her, but she still left. So I don't know. I think I have a pretty difficult relationship with a physical environment. I'm trying.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Curating Dreams, a creatives podcast. I am Crystal Tettey with...
I am Yibor, Kojo Yibor.
And I'm Blay, Ackah.
So this next topic we're about to dig into is actually what do I call this? An amalgamation, a merger of two topics we had in mind. And it's impact of family and community through collaboration and the human factor. It's a mouthful, but essentially, I think we'll just take it apart and see where the roads lead us, as we usually do. Do we start with the notions of family or community, or are they similar, the same, perhaps?
I'm not sure that I would think of them as the same. Maybe I have to think a bit deeper. But then it would depend on what kind of family you come from and what kind of community. So there are people who consider their wider community their family, right? I grew up with siblings that I'm very close to, and we are still very close. And so I think it's easier for me because I have that kind of family. I might not have been particularly close to my father, but with my siblings, yes. And so I might not be too willing to consider my wider community my family, because I have a very deep sense of family where my home is concerned. So maybe that's why it's easier for me to make the distinction. There might be someone else whose family is their community, and so, but I think they are two different things.
I'm looking at it thoroughly again right now, but like Betty is saying, I also can understand or get the fact that my siblings, I see them as family, because there are things you can do or feel or share with family that probably you won't be able to do same with community. And also there are some selected group of people who are not directly family, but you feel family with them. That also is there. And then also what community is people you really know that they build up the areas or places where you can freely go to. Then you consider this community also as community in that regard. Yeah. But there are some things they both share. Family, community, there are some common things in these two areas. Yeah.
And I actually, interesting that you ended on that note, because I was going to say that at different points in my life, because I've had these very close friends that I've lived my entire life with. And so it's really hard, right? Yeah, because there are certain points in your life where these friends know more about your life than your family.
Agreed.
So it's so I wouldn't want to knock my family off their posts by suddenly claiming someone else is my family when they've also been through a lot. But it doesn't change the fact that there are certain members of your community which might be like close-knit, and they experience so much with you. Like you go through so much with certain friends. And
No, agreed. And I feel like there are certain phases in my life where certain people who are members of a community that I belong to lend their support, love, and vice versa, and become family, and that phase could be temporary, as it could also transition into other phases. So for me, both have they've how do I put it? They've been subsets of each other at different points, of my journey.
I'm having a feeling right now that family is continuous. We make family almost every day because you get an encounter with someone and then automatically or some way, somehow, it leads to that closeness that you begin now to consider the person not like a stranger or belonging to the outside space, but now becoming a family. So that builds almost every moment or every time or every day. And the community is the space where all these people coexist or inhabit. I mean, this is how I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
What's your criteria or the point of attraction for you when you're getting into a community, or do you feel like communities have rather chosen you, or have you made conscious efforts as far as you can remember and think, and this goes for me as well, of saying, for example, I like this particular ecosystem, how it functions, what it does for the people who are here, and I would like to
be a part of it.
Yeah.
So that question makes me, I suddenly started thinking about why I'm close to certain people. I'm close to in my life, people outside of my family. So my wider community. Of course, there are different circles, right? There are those that are the closest, and then there's I think many times I choose to be in those circles because there's a certain like-mindedness, or because maybe we found ourselves in an event and I liked how this other person reacted to the situation, or they showed me a certain kind of support that I didn't think I would get from them. I'm trying to remember if there was a time when someone else have chosen me and I've stayed. And I'm not really remembering one now. Yeah.
I'm smiling because something, and this is one of my fondest memories of you, not like you're gone or anything, but how we met.
Yeah.
So this is first day of senior SS1. High. First day for me, because you guys came earlier as boarders, and I was a day student. Yeah. And I'm nose deep in my storybook, but it's actually like a defense mechanism, so I don't have to look out and have to talk to anyone and potentially face rejection. So I'm reading or pretending to be reading, and this girl sitting behind me is trying to make conversation. I can hear you, but it's like a part of me is blocking the sound. So she moves from the back to the front in my face. That's you. And she says to me, Betty says to me, hi, my name is Betty. Do you plan on being by yourself for the next 3 years?
Wow.
Let me tell you, this girl, she was just so quiet. Okay, and I don't like, I feel like sometimes I'm on the outskirts in many situations, right? And there's been times when people have pulled me in, and I'm grateful for that. She seemed to be on the outskirts, and I couldn't decide if it was by choice or because, like she said, it was more normal that I think the majority of us were boarders. So we had met in the dorms, we were all talking, everybody knew each other, and nobody knew her and she didn't know anyone. So I couldn't decide if she had chosen to be on the outside of the conversation or nobody was minding her, which is why she was on the outside. So I thought, okay, I have to figure this out and know what it is. Like, if it's not by choice, then we have to be nice and pull her in. But if it's by choice, then we leave her be.
But was that the first day?
Yes.
Yeah, day one. And
how could you figure it out? If this was just the first day, you should probably maybe give her some few days.
Yeah, because everybody was chatting, like it was a buzz of activity.
That's really deep love.
Everybody's
to feel that,
talking, but then she wasn't. I'm actually, now I think about, even Harriet wasn't really talking. But then Harriet was a boarder, and we had met her already, and I knew that she was a quiet person, so I didn't have to bother her. I understood why she was sort of on her own. right? But I couldn't decide if we were ignoring her or she really was, she wanted to be on her own.
But this came to me because we were moving towards, does community choose you
Yeah,
sometimes? And it was such a bold act of love in my mind. Like, I've never met anybody that in my face, you can't escape me, deal with me, say something to me, you know, because I'm good at running, you know. So having that almost confrontational, but in a very beautiful way, I was like, wow. So, you know, made the choice, had to talk, enjoy the conversation, and we're still here, you know. That's beautiful. That was really amazing.
It's really interesting,
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that our communities choose us.
You think so?
I think so. Our community, even family, the family chooses us. To what I'm seeing, how I'm seeing this is this, that your birth, you did not choose who should carry you. I mean, your mother. So nature by its own design, it looks through which community. Maybe it could have been birthed in outside Ghana or somewhere. With
my forehead.
Yeah, like this, you know, Ethiopia or somewhere. But we don't have that power to decide which geographical space we want to come in. I think it's more of the being, which is the human factor, and the kind of lineage and what your purpose or your connection to time and this space as life and what impact you are going to do. All these things are interconnected into the choice of space where you've been destined to come out from. So in that context, it's important for us also to see not just the people we consider as, this is my closest family, but outside the house, outside the family, outside that space, we need to go deeper more and see, why really am I in this geographical space? And I think it's now also dawning on me that these questions need to be answered, because I've grown up in a space like where I was born. I've grown up there. I grow up there, and now I'm just thinking, I've not bothered about a lot of the people around. But you get to meet people in town or somewhere, and then they remember you and they call you by your name. And these are names when you hear, no, this is way back. You understand? So I get that this human connection or this human factor is so important, that our families are not just family. And also, as we said before, it's a construct. Because I don't know whether God has a family or the universe has a family where, okay, we belong to this nuclear group. I don't know that, but I think the community is a family. And even the state is a family. The country is a family. I see it like that, but it's important also to keep it smaller and enjoyable. And I think that's why,
the fewer the merrier.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, what are some of the things we do, perhaps sometimes unconsciously, but if we could remember some of the conscious ones, to water the garden, to keep community alive. And community, now when I'm thinking about it, could be actually an individual larger than life, because that one act for me could even be, if we are measuring on scale of intensity, could even in my mind and my heart be heavier than the impact of several other people. So it could be one individual, like larger than life, a community to me, and then however else we look at it. But how do we water our gardens? How do we keep,
like, how to grow
the community, the spirits, the integrity,
and especially when you go through, you learn the value of the garden being watered when you're going through certain events, and there are certain people who show up without being called, and their presence and their support in whichever way you think support is important. I think support is a great way to water the garden. And sometimes I think it really depends on the what someone is experiencing, right? But sometimes we might be so hesitant to step in and show a certain kind of support because you don't know if you're stepping on their toes, or you don't know if they would even appreciate it. But then I think an important way to go about it is to show up and ask them, is my presence good for you? Don't have the assumption. Or ask them, what would you have me do? And they might reject you this time and say nothing, but they might be needing it, they just don't know how to express it. So keep reminding them that I am here. What would you have me do? What do you need from me? Let them reject you 1,000 times. I am here. What do you want? It could just be good morning. Hope everything is okay. But show up. I think just showing up is an important way to build the community.
From what you're just saying, so in these days where we are more connected to our gadgets than being there present, and also with considering location and proximity, how do you think we could do this, even if it's 1,000 times, keep going, doing text message? And because it's easy for people to answer, okay, I'm okay, by text, than if you are present, like you are saying. That will be more powerful for the person. Even not, it will be difficult to say I'm okay, but I will tell you.
It's just I hate referring to really down moments in my life. I feel like I do that too much. But there was my younger son was going through a medical emergency, and at the time I called my older sister because I was freaking out. Right, he had coded. The hospital hit the alarm. Doctors come running. It was like a movie, and I was so scared. I didn't know what was going on. They ask you to leave the room. They're rushing around. They're what's that called? Intubating. It's scary, and to be there alone and to watch
because
that
this was
happen,
in Canada,
right? And I was away from family. So I call my older sister, and she just amasses a prayer group. People I have no idea. People I don't know. People are praying. People I have no idea about. I'm getting text messages. That was enough. I'm getting text messages because she, people text you and say, I'm here. I'm praying for you. What's going on with Nike today? I'm like, his saturations are low. Okay, that's what I'm praying about today. It's just a text message, but it's enough. Very recently, I met Melissa's mom. So one of our, a mutual friend's mother that I haven't seen in many years. And I meet her and I'm so excited to see her. And then I'm holding my son. She's like, oh, is that Nike? I didn't even know she knew his name. I'm like, yes. Oh, I've been so looking forward to see him. And I had been praying for him. And this is something that has happened like over a year now. But for her to have kept it in mind, and she was far away at the time, right? And to mention and bring it up and to be excited to see him and to pick him up and hold him and be all excited because she's been praying for him. And even now, like this same older sister I'm talking now, and my other siblings, like nobody was around. But it was just in a constant text messaging, which became a chore. Because now you have things to deal with and you have to respond to all these messages, right? So then one of my siblings took over the responses. So I would just give information to one person because I didn't have time to be communicating with people. I had things going on. One person would get the updates and tell everybody, okay, today this is what's going on. That's it. And then everybody knows that now they are not asking me questions anymore because I can't answer. But they're just saying hi, or I'm still praying for you, or let me know when you can talk. And I'm like, I can't talk for weeks. And they're okay with it, but they're just texting. It's nice to know that someone is there. That's all sometimes that's all you need, just to know that they care about you, even if you can't participate in the communication, even if you can't respond to them, even if you can't even really share what you're feeling, because a lot of the time you can't. You don't have the words to tell them, this is what I'm feeling, I'm scared. Sometimes they know you're scared. You don't have to tell them, and they'll just tell you it's okay to be scared. And I haven't told you I'm scared, but I am. But just tell me that it's okay to be scared. And it's nice to see that or read that and be reassured that someone understands. So sometimes the presence is not physical. It's just them being there.
It's interesting that I fight the virtual a lot, but I found that many down moments as well, because I also lived away from home for a long time. I found that many down moments, the people that I considered community the most, I could only reach virtually. And that's the value I place on that presence, no matter how fleeting or whatever, is a million times worth more than whoever is physically present with me, you know. So that's interesting, that I'd give anything for 2 minutes of that screen time as opposed to 3 hours of somebody, you know, who, community.
I think you learn you appreciate the value of that when, which is a bit selfish, but when someone else has shown it to you, when someone else has been that community to you, for you, then you realize how powerful it can be, even if it's virtual, even if it's just a text message. But when they've done it for you and it's lifted you up somehow, you realize the value of it, and you are more able to also give it back because you appreciate the value.
But outside of family, what have our experiences been like, say in the work settings or with collaborations, you know? Because I know it can go both ways. You could have very exhilarating experiences as you could have complete nightmares, you know? It could be personality clashes. It could be, what have your experiences been like? Our experiences. I'm playing opera.
Well,
I don't.
nothing is coming to mind yet.
No.
You know the imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
where you're in a place and you feel like you don't belong, or you think maybe you're not good enough. You might be making, and I'm thinking in the academic sense, you might be making the right grades, but you still feel like there's something missing, like you're not doing well enough. So I had this colleague. We're both mothers in grad school. Well, we both had really young children, and she was amazing. Like, this lady had published, I don't know how many academic articles, right? And as a PhD student, it's important to do that. It shows the quality of your academic knowledge, your progress in school. She had been to all these conferences. I had none of that. Like, none. I had a few articles I had collaborated on, right? That I was second or third author. She's been first author or sole author. Like, she had done stuff. But we are in the same lane. I feel like, I don't have time to write articles. I don't have the luxury because I have to work to be able to pay the fees. Yeah. How does she find the time to get all these things done? So, for whatever reason, we're very good friends. So it wasn't so much me being jealous of me wondering, how can I be like Julie? Like, how can I achieve like Julie's achieving? I don't get to. So I have to be her friend. I have to collaborate with her so I get what's going on, right? So that collaborative relationship for me was really important. It helped push me in a certain way. But I think an amazing moment was one time I was talking to my supervisor about it. Like, I don't get why I'm not able to push forward the way I see this other person. It would make sense for the other students because they're not parents, you know. But then he reminded me, and I knew this, but somehow I felt like someone had to tell me that, well, you are here alone. Julie's husband is here. Julie's mom is here. Her mother-in-law is here. She has people who can take over the children and, you know, do stuff. You are all alone. There's no one here helping you through that. So that space, that relationship I had between me, my supervisor, me, Julie, it was invigorating. It challenged me above all. That was a really great combination for me to be in.
Like a love triangle.
Mm-hmm. It was amazing, yeah.
For me, that was really inspiring to hear, because my immediate family, I haven't really been that close with them. Not because we are not close. We are, but in terms of the things I do and what they do, it's so different that it's very challenging even to be able to freely say, okay, I am going forward, rather to say, oh, let's do this, or to have them even come up to say, what are you even doing? It hardly comes. And so my collaborations on this kind of levels have always been with people I don't know from anywhere. Like meeting you, meeting all the friends we have, and then just from that moment, the genuinity in how we spark the conversation just became like a second birth, like being born again into a certain family. And that's how my collaborations have been. And so it grows into different levels and dimensions that it could be more closely or work or maybe profession, and this is how it keeps going. And so over the years, that has been the level. And I have a lot of this, that there are some of them that they even come up to without me going to ask. They bring family things to me. And I get something like, what am I doing here? But I realize that what you are not doing or you are unable to do somewhere, the opportunity opens for you to do it in some other spaces. And I think this is how it comes. And sometimes it's really cool. And some of them, that, look, I can't take care of this. But it comes where you'll be like in the middle of the night somewhere, you get a certain text message about a situation, and this is not your blood, but they share it with you because there is some level of faith or trust or hope that answer can come from here.
Speaking of sharing, it reminds me of a particular incident that we spoke about, and it felt like problem sharing. Where Yibor had someone from a community we're both members of come to him, and he's like, this one, it looks and feels and smells like crystal, so here, this is yours. And it's been the nature of many other we share problems, but we also share creation. We also share opportunities. They overlap, But I think how I know that I'm in the right place at the right time is when it's organic. Like there's not much thinking. Like there are days when we just sit with no particular end in sight, and that's actually when we create the most profound projects or collaborations, over a beer when we used to drink beer. Or it doesn't take effort or feels like it's not taking effort, So
I actually have a question, not so much, it's a question, but so it as much as it's important to be part of communities, it's also very important to know when to walk away from certain relationships, from certain societies, from certain communities. Right? So for both of you as creatives, like when have you known the right time to leave, and what's that spark? Like what tells you when you should leave? Because you're talking about collaborating, about sharing problems and sharing opportunities and all that, but you cannot think that each member of the community you're part of is right for you. So how do you move away?
No, we have one good example which happened to both of us. A friend of ours who is originally Zimbabwean, but currently living in Sydney. Is this Sydney?
You've given details, so.
Yeah. It's going global. She'll see it.
Lord.
But it's a conversation, and we need to. It was, I can't tell the details of what happened, but this is something that happened, and we both knew that this is where it should end. We shouldn't go. I didn't tell her that. She didn't tell me that. But the conversation ended, and we knew that we were not going to open that chapter again. Yes, it really happened like that. It's really interesting.
It's true. And this is the part about the unspoken. Almost like mind reading. Yeah, but I think it also has a lot to do with energy. And you, at some point in your life, I would think that we would know, or I would know, when energies collide rather than float freely into and through each other, you know, and it doesn't take force, and it shouldn't be forced. So yeah. Yeah.
I like the energy thing. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, that's so true to know at what point. But I don't think I really have come to the place where I'm like, no, this person, it hasn't really happened to me. No, I don't think so. But what usually will happen is I just stop connecting. And I think if that's also stopping, it's also some just stop connecting. Like usually you can, hey, what's up, hello, and that kind of thing, but it doesn't come up, you know, because that kind of a space doesn't come to you when you are thinking of what, who, where can I go to. It doesn't come up. And I think it's also a community spirit that allows us to connect, because a lot of the signals are moving. And the ones that come and you know that there is space here, you just get into that. But it's some way. Family community is very sensitive, I think. Yeah, very sensitive. Yeah.
Our puppy chase is attracting a lot of attention in this episode in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested in what our relationship with the community Earth is like, with nature. How, I mean, that's if we how do we manage to center ourselves, to reconnect with nature, find balance?
Connect how?
With the earth, with the biggest ecosystem, our biggest community, perhaps our most important sometimes.
I think for me particularly, I still have, I think, a pretty difficult relationship with the earth. It could be a lack of innovation, like figuring out how to involve myself with my physical environment, not so much the human beings, but the environment around me. I'm such a human-centered person. Like, I love relationships. I love friends. I love family. I'm so into the human connection that I have a bit of a hard time appreciating the environment outside of my human connections. The easiest way I manage to do that sometimes, which is the smallest way, but I try to bring plants into my home and I kill them. Like I've tried, and I do the easiest ones, like lemongrass. It needs 6 hours of sunlight. Put it by a south-facing window. It still doesn't work. And it would be amazing if it worked, because I hear it kills mosquitoes in the home, right? It doesn't. I try the easiest things, and it just. So I feel like I need to be a bit more innovative. Maybe spend some time at the beach, but who has time for that? Or I don't know. Try some gardening outside. I don't succeed. I kill all the plants. Like.
Tomatoes, you kill all the plants. It makes me
it's not intentional.
I know.
I try, and I hear when you talk to plants, they listen and they respond. They don't respond to me. I don't know if my voice is too high pitched. Like there was this one, marigold, because it also kills mosquitoes. I'm big on plants that kill mosquitoes, so or repel insects. So marigolds, and they're beautiful when they bloom. So I really want it to work. So I talked to her. I'm constantly telling, you're so beautiful. Please come alive again, because it kind of started withering. I go on and on. I read poems. I play music right next to her, but she still left. So I don't know. I think I have a pretty difficult relationship with a physical environment. I'm trying.
It's cute. What you just said makes me think. It sounded so poetic. You playing
music.
Music.
It's getting nowhere. So there's no what's poetic in that. It's not working. I don't know why.
But unlike you, I think more effort is done and has to be done with my human relations. I think I prefer solitude over human relations. So in that sense, it would feel like connecting to nature is easier. or animals than human relations. And in a sense, it should also make it easier for me with the virtual world, I guess. But it isn't, in an odd way, or it takes warming up too. I've always been a late bloomer, so yeah, maybe metaverse will appeal.
For me, I mean, I've had a couple of encounters where I know that we've taken chance, decided, okay, let's go to the beach and take care of the beach by like organizing cleanups.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we've done that.
Idea. Yeah,
we've done that before, and also simply because we decided that could we do this, and to the level where, because we are artists, we've also organized slums that has to do with the environment. So people should decide and make up their mind, sit down and create a piece purposely for the environment, which was really good because we got a friend of ours who was into it because she's also believed in the environment. So she offered to give some money as prize money for those who will win. And it was really, really successful. The show was really good. If you hear the messages and the pieces that were created, the solidarity that went to nature and the environment, it was so cool. And I believe the universe at that moment will appreciate also. But I'm also very excited about the garden. I mean, taking care of the garden. It's enjoying for me to do that, to trim the plants and then cut them, barber them, and then make them feel. I enjoy doing it because I spend time with someone who is very good at this. One of our famous and renowned artists called Tettey. I lived with him for almost 2.5 years, almost 3 years, and his house is nature. He has plants. He's connected to them all the time. So I live there, watch what he does to them and how he talks to them, and he tells me, you need to take care of this one. Okay, this is in your hands, and that kind of. So I spent enough time working and knowing how.
I think I need to stay with him for a bit.
Yeah, you should. And now he lives actually in a new place now where the plants are even more than where he used to be. And it's it's like a forest, and the place is usually also cool. And so, I mean, that connection, it just came also naturally to me. And I was lucky because if I wasn't with him to see how he loved them, I probably wouldn't be able to also fall in love. So I think it's also, like you're saying, if you stay with somebody or you start to see somebody do it a little bit or something, can come along.
Because I'm just listening to you talk, I'm just listening, thinking, have I ever seen my husband getting his hands into dirt? Because at least that's somebody you live with all the time that you could pick a few things from. But I think work keeps him so busy. I haven't seen him tinkering with any of the plants. So that's a dead end for me, at least where so far as plants are concerned. So I wish I would get
personally,
some
I think
tips.
You are doing it also not directly as plants, which is not, but to the humans. You say your human relations with other people, that connection is part. They are also part of nature. So I believe you are doing it, but it's just this. Yeah. I think you are doing it. So don't feel too bad about the killing of the little plants.
But hearing about the analogy you just made, not seeing your husband have his hands in dirt, do we have any conscious memories of any communities that we became part of and that had certain things rub off on us? So say I don't know, that you picked up something, a love for this is random, like gardening, I don't know, sound or philanthropy by association. It's something that's eventually found you along with the community that's either found you or you found,
Actually, yeah. I might not remember every lesson I've picked up from someone, but I remember some. I remember I'm not flattering you or anything, but I remember I picked up the value of friendship from you, and when we were in university, me, you, and BM were such a close knit, that just the value of always knowing you have a friend. I picked that up from having that constant all the time, every single day, and I have a really bad memory. There were days when I would forget that I have exams. And then my friends would come, hey, Betty, Ackah, get up today. You have because they know that this girl has probably forgotten. And it wasn't even just there. I had these other friends that I did a study abroad program with, Miriam, Abna, and Sefako. I picked up generosity from them. I don't know if it's because we had gone away together and, when Cuba for a year, and it was just us. So we had to survive. And these girls were so generous. Like I don't know if I'd experienced that amount of generosity from people. They were just so generous. I can't even begin to describe. Like, it's just, here, we lost some of our things at the airport. We had to shed off weight. It was a long...
Shed off weight as in wear your weight. Right?
Everything. It was a weird story that too long to even go into, but I decided to keep the food and they kept clothes. So when we got to our destination, I had very few clothes. They were very generous with their clothes. I ended up having to be generous with my food because I can't begin to explain, but those people were very generous. And from then, I find it easy to be generous with my stuff because of the experience that I had with them. And I had so many experiences, right? My siblings, like, I'm the last. So I'm lucky enough to always be the one that has to be bailed out. Like, I'm broke. Like, my older sister is like my ATM. Poor her. Like, everything I'm going through, like, sometimes it's as bad as, please help me pay my fees, or and constant, and they would give. And my brother was so broke at a point in his life, I remember, and I was broke too. I was in Legon at the time, and I had gone home to visit him, and we're sitting there talking, and then Crystal calls me and tells me the exam timetable is out, and at that point, I hadn't even been able to buy the handouts to study and exams. The timetable is out. I hadn't even managed to buy the handouts to study, so I burst into tears. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, the exam, I haven't even read anything. And how will I write the exams? He's like, oh, so you're crying. So he leaves me there to cry it out. He comes out, and this guy is broke. And his last money he gives, here, go buy the handouts. And I knew he was broke because we had just been having a conversation about it, And so after that experience, I'm thinking I should be able to do that for other people, right? If someone gave me their last, I should also be able to give out I think I've been blessed with the humans that I've been surrounded with at different points in my life. So I've picked up a lot from them.
When I hear about Team Cuba, especially Abna, it reminds me, and this is ongoing because it didn't just happen in this instance, it happens often, in my life at least, where you can also adopt community from one community. That was a perfect instance. And to this day, we were actually at her wedding a few days ago. To this day, that particular team, by my association with Betty, is also seriously a community of mine, and that's that exchange, that network of ecosystems is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of ones I can say. There are some friends of mine, like my connection to beginning to do the freestyle performance. It was just randomly seeing someone, a friend of, it later became a friend because I just picked it and I didn't know it has anything to do even with poetry and performance. It was just that random thing of just doing what you see. And then we became that thing that have become very much a part of me, that even paying me, like even, it was just pick this thing, I like it, start to do it, and then it just became that part. And it's with two guys from Zimbabwe, Outspoken, and then Comrade Fatso. amazing artists. And so we're lucky. I was lucky enough to share the same platform with them. I think we're in Copenhagen, and then they have to share us in different. It was a festival, share us in different rooms, and then they are two, so they are lucky. Two in Zimbabwe room, Ghana room, Kenya room. Like, so people should choose which country they will go to feel that country. And I had to start my performance with the national anthem, and then also collect. But it was really, really cool. There were one group that I think I enjoyed the seeing them do something, and I also pick it up. And also I think there are a couple of friends. Crystal is also one, very generous in doing things and also in giving, that sort of thing. And she touched me so much that I also decided I want to also touch her some. Yeah, touch her some with, real substance that is important to do things. And so we have that. And I can say quite a number of people, but the detail of it is such that it's so small that if you don't look very closely, you can't. But I believe a lot of my friends and brothers and people I call family have done so many things that have really influenced me. Yeah, I think so.
For me, the real, or one of the biggest tests of a working relationship with humans is how we make it through living together, as in the same space, for however limited the period of time is. And for both of you, I've actually lived with you in the same house at different points. You in Copenhagen, and you when we were in high school, remember? And for someone like me who is not keen on sharing space, if that works, then I know that, that's it. It's a solid equation that I can rely on,
And actually, talking about sharing spaces, it's made me think about someone else I share a space with, like my husband right now. We are very different people. I'm a bit of I'm weird. I'm a bit of a firecracker, but at the same time, I'm also quite a solitary person. I'm a weird mix. But he's a consistent gentleman. He's a consistent, he thinks deeply. In fact, there are times when you're sitting in a group of people, we are talking, like the conversation is really flowing, right? And someone finds their trouble and asks them, what do you think, Benjamin? And he'll pause. So, I'm always telling him, you're slowing down the conversation, right? But I've actually learned a lot from that. Like, he thinks and he sees the bigger picture. I love that. Because a lot of the time I see the surface of things and I want to roll with that. And he's always saying pause, like, take a breath and really analyze and see if are you sure that's what you want to go with? And sometimes I'm thinking, this guy is slowing down my style. But then I decide to follow his advice and I pause. And I'm like, Charlie, I'd have been in trouble. Oh. So that's, it comes from having shared a space with him for so long. Because if he had been, I don't think in the beginning it would have worked so well. Like, I wouldn't have always thought it valuable to follow his advice because I hadn't appreciated it enough, right? But now I think, that's a skill that I have to exercise and build in myself.
I'm just remembering one, coming back again to Kofi Setoji again. He's such an artist that to him, he believes that you cannot say you're an artist and not be able to use your hands to fix things. This is one big thing I've learned from him. To be here right now and let's say, this handle has broken. I don't need to be a carpenter. I don't need to be a plumber. I don't need to be a mason or what. Observation should be able to help you to be able to fix little things. You walk and then maybe your shoe is broken from the under. I should be able to find a solution for you right here, right now, before we get to a place where we can really fix it. And that skill, I got it from him. And I'm so grateful anywhere we are, like any problem, like the thinking thing, sometimes it's just basic thing. You don't need to rush it. Also, when you get to a place you are trying to open a certain door and the key, you forcing. I learned it from him that, look, calm down. Take it easy. Recently, my mechanic, they lost my car key and then they gave me a different one to start the car. So when you put the key in, it takes like you force you and you keep the fear is that I might broke the thing. And so for like 3, 4, 5, they get into a week. I went back there again, they can't find it. So before I went the third time, I was like, take it easy. If they had used it that forcefully to start on 2 occasions and you are also, there might be a way it started. And then I told myself, let's do this, take your time and find that spot. Not knowing the key they gave me was bigger. And so you don't need to put all the key inside. Just let it fall down on the base and then try to twist it. And it works so perfectly. If I hadn't calmed my whole body and my ecosystem down, I probably wouldn't find it. And I'll be forcing. Now that I have figured it out, they found the key. Some of these things, I believe, is just our relationship and this is just a testing spot for us to go to the next level. Maybe what we need to learn from this person, or maybe what we need to pick from this relationship is this, and then we move to the next person. So in also losing some of these people, so long as you have catch that revelation you need, I don't think you should be sad that you've lost the person. Maybe that's the only thing you need. And so it's a very good lesson for me.
Yeah, and it's a great way also to wrap up this. I mean, 2 things stand out for me. The fact that we need to recognize phases and that some phases don't overlap and that some humans or communities don't also transition with us phase after phase. But most importantly, and what I just heard from both of you, is the need to slow down and accept calm sometimes to be able to grow, you know. And I think that's a beautiful way to end episode 10. Thanks, Betty, and thanks, Yibor.